Now, come to the last part of this particular chapter. Now, what happened after Ivan's escape from the prison authorities, or escape by fooling the prison authorities from the prison? Now, what happened? Evans was traced by the governor in his hotel room. How he was traced, let us come to know. So, now the story moved up to Evans. Now, where did Evans actually go? After managing to make complete fool of the prison authorities and based on the instruction given in the correction slip, Evans had successfully escaped and gone to the Golden Lion Hotel in Chippington Norton. The clues leading Elswill Way and Newbury were mere misdirection aimed to keep the police busy looking in wrong places while Evans slept farther away. The correction slip, remember the correction slip where the correction was given, in that the hotel room was written in the correction slip. So he went, after he escaped, he went to the Golden Lion Hotel, which was situated in Chipping Norton. Now Evans was happy as he had successfully escaped. Evans took a walk at the center of the area called Chipping Norton. He ate fish and chips and he decided to return to the hotel as Evans wanted to sleep early. He was wearing a new hat that had smartly hidden his short hair. Now he would reveal to the readers what he actually did to escape from the prison authorities, how cleverly he planned everything. So he was saying he was wearing a new hat that had smartly hidden his short hair because he had cut his hair short, that was wavy, which Jackson hated. It would take more time for him to grow once more, as he liked his wavy long hair. But it was not important. The important is that he was finally out of the prison, and he reached his hotel, went to reception to collect keys. He then recalled his previous night when Jackson took away his scissors and he had to cut his hair with a razor blade. Now I told you that it was because he cut his hair with a razor blade, that is why he had a very bad haircut. That was quite a bad luck. But then he thought about his good luck. Though these seizures were removed from his prison cell and he had to cut his hair with a razor blade, though it is a bad luck for him, but he thought about the good luck when Jackson asked him to remove his head and how he managed to stop him from doing so. He had kept the head to cover his head so that the new haircut could be hidden under that red bobble hat that he requested Jackson that he wanted to wear it because it was his lucky charm. If Jackson had forced him to remove his hat and did not allow him to keep the bobble hat, it would not have been possible for Evans to hide his short hair. That was nearly a narrow escape. He then concluded that old Jackson was not a bad fellow. Then what happened? Putting a beard was the worst thing. Evans had allergy to sticking plaster, and even now his chin was irritably sour and red, but he had not put the beard but he had to put the beard to look like McClary. So the beard also was a fake, and the McClary who come as an invigilator, who was actually Stephen's friend, had had put on two beard. That is why he kept on touching his beard when Stephens looked through the peephole into the prison cell. The moment when Stephen looked through the peephole to look inside the prison cell, and McCleary was sitting stroking his black beard. The reason was that he was removing the artificial beard, and also it was slipping because he was wearing two pair of beards so that he can give one to Evans to get into the to look like the McClary. So everything was already planned. Now, when Evans reached the reception counter, he found that it was not the same girl who was there at the time his office booking, but he thought the change was good. You will get to know why there was a change in the receptionist counter, why there is not the same girl at that time. He then told her that he was not concerned about morning breakfast. He told to the girl that was sitting on the reception that He was not concerned about morning breakfast, ordered a newspaper named Daily Express and asked him to wake him up at 6:45 a.m. as tomorrow was another busy day for him because the next day he had to go out of that particular town, Chipping Norton, where he was hiding himself. He whistled while walking up the stairs towards his room. He was happy, which the whistle indicate that that he was very happy that he had finally escaped. He had liked the idea of dressing up as priest with a dog collar and everything. It was a very good idea that McClary, who was his friend, wore two collars, two coats when he came into the prison as an invigilator. But there was a panicky moment when the top collar kept on slipping. Remember, McClary's right index finger was always near his clerical collar because he was trying to fix the top collar that kept on slipping. That had somehow solved the problem by always keeping a pen in his mouth whenever Stephen picked inside. So everything was planned. But the most difficult part was changing clothes under the blanket. I have told you what is the use of the blanket that that Evans had requested Stephen that Evans had put on, not requested, Evans had put on around his shoulders. So this is the reason that under the blanket which covered around his shoulder, particularly the collar that had its button at the back and the clerical coat. But everything had happened very smoothly. He also mentally thanked his friends who had arranged everything for him in the car: the soap, the water, clothes, the map, the Ordnance Survey map of Oxfordshire. This was also very important. Now, Evans had good and clever friends who had helped him throughout his escape plan. So, what happened? He unlocked his bedroom door and he was thinking all this, whistling, going upstairs to his room. He unlocked his bedroom door and closed it quietly behind him and then stood frozen to the spot like a man who had just got a glimpse of the Gorgon. Gorgon was an imaginary creature, scary looking, who had the power to turn anyone who looked at them to stone. So he was frozen like a stone when he got the glimpse of a man that was sitting on the bed when he unlocked his bedroom door. Now, who was this man? Let us come to know that. Now, towards the end of the story, we have seen that Evans was shocked to find the governor. That man who was sitting on his bed was the governor itself, waiting for him in the room of the Golden Lion Hotel in Chipping Norton, where Evans had reached after he made his fourth escape from the prison. And this time, the fourth escape was made from the Oxford prison, and the governor was there to supervise everything. Evans had not expected this at all. Now, how did the governor trace the exact escape location of Evans? Let us find out. Evans started looking around the room. "It is not worth trying anything," said the governor quietly. The governor informed Evans that he had his policemen all around Evans and Evans' escape plan was failed and he was caught by the police. Actually, the governor had lied as he had only two men with him to catch Evans, but he did not tell Evans about that because he wanted to make Evans feel that he was trapped by the police. But this was not the end. Though Evans was finally caught by the police, no. Evans looked disturbed. The governor also told Evans that the woman in the reception who was sweet with Evans was also with the governor and helped the governor to Evans' room, and Evans was now trapped. Evans was visibly shaken. He sat down slowly in the only chair the small room could offer and held his head between his head. For several minutes there was utter silence. Now Evans said that it was the correction slip, I guess, because Evans also wanted to know that how did the governor had managed to reach him to the exact location. Now Evans said that might be it was the correction slip, he guessed, because Evans had only made one mistake. And what is that mistake? He had left that correction slip on which the name of the Golden Lion Hotel was written. That correction slip. It was the only mistake. The question paper was there to the question paper was there to confuse the governor, which he had left intentionally. But the correction slip, which he where the name of the hotel was written, by mistakenly, he had left that correction slip. Now, otherwise the governor or nobody could knew or come to know about the Golden Lion Hotel. And also governor knew a little bit of German, so he could detect, or he could guess the name of the hotel written on the question paper, and in the correction slip. And as a result, Evans was caught by the governor. This correction slip solved three purposes. First, Evans' friends could know the time of the exam by calling at 9:40 a.m. Then Evans could know the name of the hotel where he need to go after the escape. And third, the correction slip also helped the governor in locating the place where Evans was hiding by using his knowledge of German, as the governor knew a little bit of German. But the disadvantage that happened for Evans was that the governor came to know the address of the hotel because the governor knew a little bit of German. That is the only disadvantage for Evans, and the governor knew the place. But did did the governor was finally successful in finally successful catching Evans? Now let us see. Now the governor was deeply satisfied to finally catch Evans and sarcastically told Evans that there were some people who knew German. Slowly and very slowly, Evans relaxed. Evans was beaten, he was defeated, and he knew it. Evans knew he was defeated, and he smiled ruefully in a way that expressed sorrow or regret, so he was smiled ruefully. Evans explained that it was not an actual mistake, as the governor couldn't see. The only mistake was that they were not able to decide any hotel earlier. So the correction slip was not a mistake. The mistake that they were not earlier means the Evans friend had not earlier able to decide any hotel. So information about the hotel had to be given at that time, but they could have done it in some other way. And through the correction slip, um, and not through the correction slip at that time. But it was necessary, even though they could do the correction, or they could give the information of the hotel in some other way, but the correction slip at that time was very necessary, because it was very necessary for them to make the at 9:40 regarding the correction slip, so that they could know the exact time at which the paper started, so they can calculate the time and they would exactly know when what is the exact time that the examination would get over. And as the governor was listening, which was written on the correction slip when McClary was dictating it to Evans, and the governor took a note of it. And the governor, as I have told you, was also very cunning. Though he appeared to be fool, but he was cunning. Otherwise, he could not have used his sense and could have make it out to the Golden Lion Hotel where Evans was hiding. It was through this call they got the information when the exam started, and then when it would end. So the correction slip was very important, because they need to make the call at 9:40 a.m. Now, Evans also explained that is why they were able to make the phone call at 11:22 a.m. before the exam finished, to get everyone, mainly Stephen and Jackson, out for some time to get a clear way for McClary. Now the governor admitted that, like a fool, he had provided the information to Evans so easily. Evans told that the correction slip killed two little birds with a single stone. First, the Evans was able to know the name of the hotel, and second, his accomplice, that is his friend who was helping him outside the prison, got to know the exact time when the exam had started by making the call at 9:40 a.m. Evans asked the governor that how did the governor come to know the exact location that Evans was staying, because Golden Lion Hotel could be any Golden Lion Hotel. So how did he know that he was staying at the Golden Lion Hotel at Chipping Norton, as there were many hotels by this name? How did he guess about Chipping Norton? Then the governor explained how the index number 313 and center number 271 were the clues. Now, see, the governor was also very clever, and which helped the governor because he combined this 6 digit number and it becomes 313271. This six-digit number, when referred to the Ordnance Survey map of Oxfordshire, gave details about the Chipping Norton because it was the number. It was the number. It was the number that gave the exact location of the hotel, Golden Lion Hotel, in the middle of the Chipping Norton, where Evan decided to hide after the escape and trapped him again. Now, this number gave details about the Chipping Norton, and thus Governor used his intelligence was able to trace the exact location where Evans was hiding. The governor was also a very clever person. He could track Evans' foolproof plan. But will the governor would learn from his mistake and would not make more mistake, or he would make another mistake and Evans could escape one more time? We will get to know after this. So using his intelligence by combining this 6 digit number, the number had become 313271, and in that way the governor could guess the exact location of the hotel that was at Chipping Norton. Now, Evans admitted that they thought the governor would go towards the Newbury. The governor said that yes, they had initially went towards Newbury. He asked Evans whether he was able to understand the question paper which was written in German, as the governor could hardly understand it. Then Evans replied that he could not understand anything written in the question paper. But Evans and his accomplice thought that the question paper would confuse everybody and would divert the attention of everybody. But since the governor knew a little bit of German and was a very clever person, he was able to caught Evans. But the governor initially had served the purpose to confuse everyone, because everyone went around to search Ivan, which was a foolish and which was a foolish search for every prison authorities, and Evans was successful in misleading everyone. Now let us see, was the governor was really successful in catching Evans at last? Let us see them. Now the governor then stood up and asked him before they proceed again to the prison, from where did he get that blood in his prison cell to pour over his head? Evans suddenly looked happier that the governor noticed that, and said that it was a clever thing to bring blood into the cell. At first they were not able to find any method because they knew that the invigilator before entering into the prison premises would also be checked before he entered into the prison. Evans said to the governor that he did not want to reveal the secret of actually how he had brought that blood into the prison, as he might use that idea again, because it was a very clever plan indeed. How did they manage to bring the blood into the prison cell to pour over the head to look like an injured person? Then the governor guessed that it had to be the rubber ring that McCleary bought, that as he was a problem of hemorrhoids. Evans smiled weakly that yes, it was a clever thing. Evans admitted that clotting of the blood becoming solid, was the big problem, and it was the blood of the pig from a slaughter's house that he got from Kidlington, and to prevent it from clothing, that they had to mix it with 10% of the human blood with 3.8% of the trisodium citrate. Evans was not only a clever criminal, but also an intelligent criminal too, because even a normal person could not think of that, to mix that pig blood to with the human blood, so that they can so that it so they would so that the clothing of the blood would not happen. So Evans was a very intelligent criminal too. Evans asked the governor, didn't he know that governor didn't he know about that? Then governor shook his head, then said, we learn something new every day, they tell me. He appreciated Evans' intelligence of planning out such a marvelous plan. He then took Evans with him and walked down the stairs. Evans neither resisted nor objected, but walked with the governor without any protest. The governor then asked how Evans had planned all this. As he had no visitors or letters came from him from outside the prison, then how did he plan all these things? Then Evans answered. And what did he answer? Let us see. Now Evans replied that he had many friends. Even his German teacher was his friend. The governor was shocked to learn that the German teacher, who was actually an accomplice of Evans, said that the teacher was brought from the technical college. How he could be Evans' friend? Evans then questioned, did the governor wittingly, whether the governor had ever verified it where the German teacher had come. Governor was surprised and told him that it was beyond his imagination. This was another mistake of the governor, who did not check the identity of the German teacher who happened to be Ivan's friend and who had been coming from September to teach Ivan's German. And it was because Ivan did not even learn anything. They were just managing to plan everything for his escape, that is his escape for the fourth time from the prison. So the German teacher was also the friends of Ivan, who had come to the prison, who had come to the Oxford prison to help Evans out and help him to plan everything out. The governor came near the reception desk and asked the pretty blonde receptionist that whether everything was ready or not. She replied that the van was ready out in the front of the cell. Evans winked at her and she winked back at him. Now why this receptionist winked at Evans? Because she was helping the governor. Unknown to the governor, the lady receptionist was also an accomplice of Evans. See how everything had Evans planned it out, and he had also a backup plan for everything. Now see, there was something fishy that was going on. He winked at the receptionist and the receptionist winked back at him. Again, then the narrator creates a suspense for the reader. Now you see, the author had created suspense in some part of the story. First the handkerchief, then the call, then when the governor was about to call, and now this the receptionist. So the narrator creates an interesting suspense in the middle of the story to build that suspense or to hold that suspense in the story. Now you see, Evans had the last laugh. How? A silent officer handcuffed the captured Evans and took him to the prison van as the governor had ordered him to do so. Now Evans was caught by the governor, so he was handcuffed by a silent officer, and then he took him to the prison van that was standing outside the hotel. It seemed that if it had been all over for Evans, both the silent prison officers both the silent prison officer and Evans climbed into the back seat of the prison van. The governor brought only two men with him, and one, the prison officer, arrested Evans and handcuffed him. The another prison officer was at the driver's seat. See you soon, Evans. The governor said bye in a way as he was bidding him farewell. The governor was friendly in saying those words because he was happy in catching Evans successfully. Evans suddenly asked the governor whether he knew any other language than German. The governor asked him the reason behind this. See, the Evans had success. Evans had dropped a hint for the governor that other than any language, other than German, did he know any other language? So this was a hint to the governor that Evans would escape once again, and this exactly what happened. No, Ivan said he was just asking because he came to know that there will be O level Italian classes coming up next September. The governor assured that he will not be with them by September because of his fourth escape from Oxford prison. He would be certainly shifted to different prison by then. Maybe he was still thinking of escaping from prison once more, taking the source of an examination, but this time it will be an Italian examination, O level Italian examination rather than O level German examination. Ivan thought for a while and then said yes, maybe. Evans sat comfortably in the back seat of the prison van and sat and smiled broadly. The governor watched Evans being taken away in the prison van. After he bade him farewell, he thought that the chase was finally over, but it was not. The prison van turned to right from the Chippington Norton towards the Oxford Road. The prison officer, who was silent till that time, unlocked the handcuff. He handcuffed. He leaned forward and asked the driver to move fast because soon the police would caught them. The driver asked in his broad Scotch accent about where to go. The driver was the same person who acted as the fake invigilator McClary, who had entered into the prison and helped Evans in his escape plan. Thus, the prison officers whom the governor brought with him were also actually Evans' accomplice. So he had a very big network who was continuously working to help Evans to escape. The governor that had brought the governor that two officers that the governor brought with him was also Evans' friend. What about Newbury? Suggested Evans. Thus, we get to know that Evans had escaped once again. Though the governor caught him by using his intelligence at the hotel, the Evans had once again escaped by using his intelligence. So between the race between crime and punishment, it is the intelligence that always win, and this exactly what happened. It was because of his intelligence Evans was successfully escaped, and the story ends with Evans and his accomplices deciding on where they should go next. Very cleverly he had planned everything, and at last Evans was escaped from the prison and under the nose of the governor. Once again, Evans managed to escape by fooling the authorities and the governor again, and Evans had the last laugh. Evans had a meticulous plan right from the beginning. Then, even if a portion of it was discovered, there would be an alternative. So, he had meticulously planned right from the beginning. So even Evans knew that he would be catched by the governor. He had a plan B ready for it, and he had used this plan at last. He had a backup plan for such a grave situation as well. When he was recaptured by the governor, as he left the correction slip behind, and he did not know that the governor knew German and would be able to trace him. Even then, he escaped again with the help of his accomplices. Despite being arrested, his plan B was always ready, and that is why his friends, his accomplice, had come. They had dressed up as prison officers and were standing out, and this is how Evans had finally escaped. A seemingly harmless kleptomaniac with a charming personality successfully cons the entire police department and outsmarts the authorities to escape for the fourth time. And what is the final act of foolishness on the part of the governor here? Was that he did not verify the authenticity of the prison officers with whom the governor set Evans after he was arrested in the Golden Lion Hotel. Even after capturing Evans, he did not even check on the men who came to escort him back to the Oxford prison, making it even easier for Evans to escape. Secondly, he should have contacted Mr. Jackson, Stephens, Detective Superintendent Carter, Chief Inspector Professor Bell, who were already searching Evans. Despite knowing that what Evans and his friends were capable of, the governor did not check or looked at the men in the police van after he had captured Evans. He did not successfully trace down Evans, but unfortunately lost him because of his own carelessness and negligence. He was able to successfully trust Evans, but unfortunately lost him because of his own carelessness and negligence. The governor should have taken the full force arrangement for Evans' arrest at the Golden Lion Hotel, and should have accompanied himself to the prison instead of giving the other two prison officers to take Evans alone to the prison. He could have gone with them and accompanied them, but the governor, because of this negligence, had lost Evans for the second time. Now, however, he had brought only two men with him who later turned to be accomplices of Evans, and the governor himself to handed over handed him over to the fake prison officers. Thus, Ivan was able to escape and left no clues to catch him back. And the governor was just a good for giggle and provided to be a foolish governor, and Evans had his last laugh by escaping and making the governor fool again. The governor let Evans go with the prison officer instead of himself. Now, I will tell you the mistake what was done by the governor. The governor first let Evans go with the prison officer instead of himself accompanying Evans to the Oxford prison. And once again, Evans befooled the governor due to the governor's negligence and carelessness. It was perhaps his overexcitement, means the governor's overexcitement in locating the hideout of Evans and catching him at the Golden Lion Hotel, that he ignored and neglected and acted foolishly by reposing confidence in wrong person at the end, that is the police officers that had handcuffed Evans. Because of his overconfidence, he did not check the identity of the prison officers before handing over Evans at the end, and this indeed brought him disgrace. At every step, the governor was fooled by Evans. For instance, the German teacher, the invigilator were his friends. So at every step, he fooled the governor. The correction slip sent by the examination board, which was also part of Evans' plan, was a clever device to convey the route of escape and hideout, but the governor's last act of foolishness was worth being laughed at. Both the prison officers and the prison van appeared towards the end of the story, which the governor brought with him, were part of the plan devised by Evans' friend. Now, going to the Newbury suggests that Evans might even wanted to be caught, because at the last he suggested let us go to Newbury. So now going to the Newbury suggests that Evans might even wanted to be caught again so that he can undertake the challenge of breaking out again, or he might be thinking that it was the place which governor would never of think again. Evans was definitely enjoying whatever was happening. That is why the hint was given at the end of the story, let's go to Newbury. So what happened next? So, as a clever criminal, he had escaped, and he had fooled the clever governor, and he escaped under the nose of the governor. Now, at the end, we find the smartness and keen observation and meticulous planning and strong network of his friends. Evans was able to escape. Evans' friends were supportive and helpful, and it was not only because of their cooperation and it was only because of their cooperation and willingness to take risk that Evans was able to plan very detail of his escape in such a manner that no one suspect anything. Evans was able the prison authorities Evans was able to fool the prison authorities, and in this battle of wit between him and the prison officer, means in the battle of intelligence between him and the prison officer, he had the last laugh of confidence and victory over the governor. He was able to outwit the governor at every step and managed to execute his plan successfully with the help of his friend who acted intelligently and were able to predict how the authorities would think, and was always one step ahead of the prison authorities, leaving the prison authorities confused. In this chapter, who proved to be more intelligent? It was definitely Evans. Now, the title of the chapter, Evans tries an O level, was justified, as Evans tried that O level and was successful in using this level to escape the prison. Now, this chapter brings to the light the fact that one should not underestimate one's opponent. The police officers were up to the mark in their preparation, but they underestimated Evans, and he escaped at the end. So, while keeping in mind the major thing, they had underestimated, or they have negligent towards the minor thing, which proved to be a blessing for Evans, and at last Evans had escaped from the prison. And and that too under the nose of the prison authorities, who were very strict and who were proper, uh, who were proper at their job. So this is how the chapter ends. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you.